I'm talking about a specific point in the journey where the way we perceive reality and ourselves starts to disintegrate, and it no longer looks like it's fixed and solid, which is why we start experiencing discomfort. We start experiencing a lot of uncertainty and unknowing, which comes with all kinds of sensations and emotions. And then being able to see what we are reaching out for in order to sedate ourselves, in order to not feel. To me, this is such a pivotal part of that awakening process, because believe me, that pull for a place to land is powerful. And honestly, it gets even more powerful and even harder to notice the farther down in this process, where really the transcendence now becomes that landing place. This mind and body are so not used to not knowing. Hi everyone, it's nice to be back after a bit of a break, and welcome to any new subscribers to the channel. It's really nice to see you here. And as always, I want to ask that if you enjoy videos on this channel, and you, especially if you watch them regularly, then please remember to like the video, to subscribe, and to share in the comments what resonates with you. It really helps to make this channel findable to people who may be looking for these kinds of conversations and explorations that I'm doing here. Some of you know that I caught some kind of flu virus when I was away over Christmas and New Year period. And I can't believe I'm still recovering from it. It's honestly been like the longest recovery from flu. I normally don't tend to like get cold or flu, or if I do, it's like really short and it goes away really quickly. So this has been quite an experience. I'm so much better in that, like, I can function, but I get tired really quickly. So as far as my human functioning, that's really, I think, all I've got to say about that. As far as all things humanizing awakening, I just wanted to say that I have heard people contact me to say that they signed up to my newsletter via my website, and they have not been receiving emails, which go out usually when I post something on YouTube, just to let people know that I posted something. And that's mostly probably due to the fact that the email goes to spam. So please check your spam for anything humanizing awakening, either humanizing Substack newsletter, or if you emailed me on at humanizingawakening@gmail.com, then please check for that email address as well, and make sure that those are added to your main inbox. Otherwise, you won't see this. You won't see those emails. The other thing, as far as sort of announcements and stuff, some of you know that I am in the process of sort of working out the group gatherings, which for the past few months I have been asked if I was going to organize something like that. I'm still not really clear on what that's going to look like as far as structure or schedule or cost or anything like that. Other than I know that I would like it to be something intimate, so not a lot of people. I know that means different things to different people. What's a lot? But I think I mean something like between 10 and 20 people, like 20 people, I'm talking tops. You know, and I just like the idea of something a bit more intimate and personal like that, for all kinds of reasons that I don't need to go into. If you're interested in joining the group gathering around springtime, and I say it loosely because I'm not sure when around springtime, it may be March, it may be April. then please email me at humanizingawakening@gmail.com. You don't need to say anything else other than just write in the title, I'm interested. And I will add you to the list of people who are interested. And then once I'm more clear on like the schedule, like I said, and the structure, the cost, and things like that, then I will email you to let you know when those things are ready, and then you can decide whether you want to join or not. So that's it as far as announcements. Today I wanted to talk about one of the aspects and sort of really, in my view, pivotal points in the awakening process that sometimes people don't want to hear about because it's kind of because it may be a bit scary, it may feel a bit unsettling, and I completely get that. It's not anything like gruesome or anything like that, but I've had those conversations enough times to know that when I talk about it, sometimes people can find it a bit either strange or unsettling or a bit scary, and I completely understand that. And I'm talking about a particular point in a journey where all of a sudden the way we perceive reality starts to disintegrate, basically, and that includes the way we perceive ourselves. So basically the things that seem to look kind of true or real or solid no longer do. And when that happens, it creates this kind of sense like the ground that we've been standing on no longer feels solid and starts feeling very, very wobbly. And when that happens, it obviously creates, a lot of discomfort in the mind and in the body, emotional, psychological discomfort. And how that's experienced is going to be different to different people. It may be that we're left feeling only a bit unsettled, or sort of, like I said, a bit wobbly, we kind of like no longer know sort of where to turn and what's actually going on, right? So that in and of itself can be a bit unsettling, but for some people it will be a really scary experience. It will feel a bit like a sort of a free fall, where you don't know like where you're going to land or if you're going to land at all. For some people it can really come with this sort of experience of these waves of terror and so on. So the intensity, the length, the how this is going to be experienced is going to be different to different people. This is very much part of the awakening process, very much something to be expected. When the way we perceive reality, when the way we perceive ourselves no longer looks real or solid, we start experiencing uncertainty, basically. We start experiencing the not knowing. This mind and body are so not used to not knowing and are so uncomfortable with uncertainty that the mind will start freaking out when the way we perceive reality or ourselves starts to disintegrate. And it will immediately look for something to hold on to, as though it is like it almost like it looks for a sedative. It looks for something to hold on to. It looks for a place to land where it can land at least for a bit, where it can feel that this body and mind can start feeling safe again. What that sedative is going to be, where the mind is going to look for that sedative, is going to be different at different points in the journey, because it can be absolutely anything that will create this kind of illusory safe sense of safety, at least for a bit, And so it doesn't matter if that sedative is going to be found in the so-called world of form. It's going to be I don't know, drugs, alcohol, intellectual understanding of some kind of philosophy or whatever that's gonna make sense for us and make us feel safe or secure, or whether that sedatives gonna be found in the quote unquote transcendence slash formless, where now awareness is that landing place, or presence is the landing place, or there's some kind of spiritual meaning making as to why we're feeling the discomfort. In my case, I could only see in retrospect how looking for a deeper meaning, looking to find an answer as to why I was struggling, looking for some kind of deeper understanding for why am I feeling the way I'm feeling, so that I could find something to hold on to experience that calmness and sense of safety was really huge. And I want to make something very, very clear. To me, meaning making, interpreting, trying to understand, asking why, asking questions, inquiry of any kind, intellectual, spiritual, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I'm not making that wrong. In fact, it's part of human functioning, the integral part of the human experience. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not making those things wrong. I'm not saying anyone needs to stop doing that. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do in the first place. I'm talking about a specific point in the journey where the way we perceive reality and ourselves starts to disintegrate, and it no longer looks like it's fixed and solid, which is why we start experiencing discomfort. We start experiencing a lot of uncertainty and unknowing, which comes with all kinds of sensations and emotions, and then being able to see what we are reaching out for in order to sedate ourselves, in order to not feel that that kind of discomfort. And for every person, what that sedative is going to be very different. And the pull of the mind to find that kind of a sedative, whatever it is, or a landing place or something to hold on to, it's also incredibly understandable. Okay, this is part of how that whole self-structure kind of operates. So I'm not talking about it in terms of making it wrong or so that we beat ourselves up over the fact that this is happening, right? For me, the opportunity here and the gift is in noticing, first of all, when the discomfort is arising, and then noticing what we are reaching out for that serves as that sedative. Because believe me, it can be absolutely anything. It can be some kind of deeper spiritual meaning that we attach to a particular situation. That sedative may be in the form of another spiritual book or another spiritual talk. It may be in the form of esoterical stuff, or mystical stuff, but it might be something entirely different, And again, we're not making it wrong. We're just noticing when this stuff is used in order to sedate ourselves and escape the discomfort. That's really the only thing that I'm pointing to here, right? Because the inquiry into the nature of reality really is one that doesn't look for a place to land or a conclusion. It's actually an inquiry that actually strips away the conclusions, any kind of conclusions, anything that looks real and solid, anything that looks like a landing place, and the mind can go, oh, this is how it is, and that's the ultimate answer, and that's the ultimate truth, and that's the ultimate conclusion. To me, the inquiry into the nature of reality is actually serving as a tool to strip all of this away. So there is no landing place, so that we recognize that the unknowing and uncertainty is actually an inherent to the nature of reality, but let's call it capital R, okay? And then there is the intellectual inquiry, there's an inquiry that seeks to understand, the world and concepts and how we function, which also has its place, and it's rich and it's wonderful, and it's amazing that we have the ability to do those things, and which is why I will never demonize intellect or anything like that. It all has its place and serves the human functioning. But then there is this other part of inquiry where, instead of stripping away the conclusions, where the mind is looking for a place to land, to conclude, to find the ultimate truth that actually really don't serve us well as far as the awakening process is what I'm trying to say. To be able to first of all notice when this discomfort is arising, and seeing what serves as that kind of sedative for us individually is already such an amazing insight, and such a useful insight. So even if we still continue to reach out for whatever that sedative is, there's no need to beat ourselves up. It starts from seeing an awareness that we're actually doing that, And then there come a point where, as we notice that happening and the discomfort comes up and we're about to reach for the sedative of choice, quote unquote, and so then once we notice this, I can't underline how valuable is to even notice when the discomfort is arising, and that point when we are about to reach for whatever that sedative is going to be, right? To even know that this is absolutely an expected part of the awakening process is already, to me, really valuable, because I didn't know that, and many people don't know that. And so when this happens, they feel like they're going crazy, or there's something wrong going on with them, So even to know that this is part of the process is already really helpful. I know it certainly would have been very helpful to have known that as I was going through it. But once we're able to, first of all, notice the discomfort arising, and then notice what is the sedative of choice that we're kind of used to reaching out for. And then the next time, maybe as we see the discomfort arising, to allow the discomfort to be there without reaching out for that sedative, even if just for a minute, even if just for 2 minutes next time, or 5 minutes, then really we're allowing this body to build the capacity to be more and more with that discomfort. And as we do that, that need to reach for some kind of sedative is also going to diminish, To me, this is such a pivotal part of the awakening process, because believe me, that pull for a place to land is powerful. And honestly, it gets even more powerful and even harder to notice the farther down in this process, where really the transcendence now becomes that landing place, and it creates a kind of safety net, a sense of safety. Like I said, I think it's a really extremely important point in the journey, and be able to notice those things. The other thing that I find useful is also to see when there is this pull to find a deeper meaning, to find the why am I experiencing this discomfort? What's going on? What's true? What isn't true? There's nothing wrong with those questions or that kind of inquiry, but it's really worth asking, what is it that I get from knowing the answer? What is it that I get from knowing this specific answer versus a different one? Okay, so again, it's not so much about the questions or even answers to those questions. It's more about noticing what is going on in the mind, and what is especially going on in the body when those questions arise, and what do we think those answers are going to give us. And if a particular answer is not satisfactory or freaks us out or something like that, then really inquire into that, and into that discomfort especially. you know? So that's another way this can be kind of worked with. I think that the spirituality, the transcendence stuff, like it offers even more of like those kinds of different sedatives than anything else in the quote unquote world of form. And an example of the kind of spiritual meaning making that serves as that kind of sedative, the only one that sort of came to me just now is, like over the years, I would often hear like the sentence or someone say like rejection is protection, right? And I don't know if it's true. I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying this is wrong. I don't know. I'm just saying it's really worth exploring what that take on rejection is actually doing, because this would be one of the examples where instead of being with the pain of rejection, really being with the pain of rejection, which I get is horrible, feels horrible, and who would want to sit with that? Here I'm talking specifically about the awakening process, and if there is rejection, that rejection and being with that rejection is such an incredible opportunity for an inquiry into what is this pointing to in the experience, and really explore that with curiosity and compassion. But what mind tends to do is that rather than being with that rejection, with that pain of rejection, it will look for a sedative. And in this case, the sedative is the meaning making, the spiritual meaning making, that protection is, that rejection is a protection, right? And so now that feeling that, oh, okay, so this was actually protection, then now the mind has something to hold on to, right? That will sedate it for a moment, that will make me feel better for a moment. Now that I know, oh, okay, it's really a protection, it's really a protection. So I'm going to focus on that instead of really being with what's coming up as that rejection is being experienced, So this is just one. There are so many examples, because believe me, anything can become that sedative. It may not look like a sedative at all. It may not look like a way to avoid experience and what's arising in the experience. So it's often difficult to spot, but when we start paying attention, when in that process, then it is possible to see when that's happening. It really is, if there's curiosity around this and willingness to do so, and it's really useful if we can do that. I don't know who will resonate and relate to what I'm talking about here. It certainly has been something that I saw only in retrospect in my own journey, how that meaning making, especially, and interpreting and looking for a deeper understanding and the why and so on, not wrong as such. Like I said, I can't underline it enough. But when I saw how so often it just served as a way to cope, as a way basically to cope and to avoid the discomfort. Other than that, I'm wishing you a happy new year once again, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.